righty. I will call this work session to order for October 5th, 2021. Our first item of business is a tree board annual report, which will be presented by our Climate and Natural Resource Manager, Natalie Rogers.
Hi there. Good evening, Council. Let me see if I can share my screen really quick. Okay. I'm going to ask the dreaded question. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Fantastic. Good evening. My name is Natalie Rogers. I am the Climate and Natural Resources Manager for the City of Milwaukee. I'm here today in Peter Passarelli, our Public Works Director's shoes, to give an update about our tree board and the work that they've been doing so far. First, I'd like to honor the tree board members that we currently have on our board. Our chair, Kathleen Brennan Hunter, and our vice chair, Gina Dake, Lee Garnett, John Brown, Madison Tucker, Christina Harris, and Alexis Barton are all critical to our tree board. And they all come from a variety of different backgrounds and walks of life and experiences, which has been making some really interesting meetings for tree board, particularly as we're kind of talking about outreach. It's really helpful to have folks from all backgrounds in the room to talk about it. So for 2020 and 2021, we've had a lot happen, and we're very proud of the work that we've done so far as a board. For one thing, last year, Milwaukee won the Oregon Tree City of the Year award, which is a really big honor, and it really reflects a lot of the work that our tree board has been doing and helping us lead as we expand our urban forest program. We also got our 5th year designation as a Tree City USA, which entails requirements such as having an Arbor Day celebration, having outreach related to trees, actually having a city arborist on staff. So there's a lot of requirements behind being a Tree City USA. And on top of that, we received the USA Growth Award for the 2nd year in a row, meaning that we're continuing to expand our urban forest programs. Last year, we also adopted our public tree code, which was an expansion of the tree cutting code, which we had, and revised to reflect our urban forest and preservation goals for our canopy. The Friends of Trees event in April 2021, that was a success. Our Friends of Trees events had to be modified for COVID and public safety and health reasons to be a little bit more limited in terms of folks being able to volunteer. But we're really excited to talk about our Arbor Day celebration coming up, which has expanded those volunteer opportunities. But last April was still very, we heard a lot of really great responses, and the wait list for Milwaukee was even larger. And so I think it really kind of kicks off a great series of events for us to have in the future. We also worked on our tree inventory. This is essentially a process. A tree inventory is exactly what it sounds like. You go out in the community and you actually take inventory of the trees that you have. This is really important when we're talking about natural resources management, particularly around resilience, because we need to know where we are in order to improve. So a tree inventory takes essentially inventory of the species of trees, the health, the condition, the size, the age, and the location. And we just did a pilot over the last year. So that was about 2,000 trees. We did a transect in each neighborhood. We hired the consultant Tree Ecology to perform that work. And essentially, we were testing out a method in order to start that inventory. And with that information, we can now have a better sense of where public trees are, where our canopy is, the health of the canopy in certain areas, and then also what species we should be focusing on in order to increase diversity in our urban forest to make us more resilient for things like pests and disease and climate change. And another really exciting development is we had our new urban forester, Courtney Wilson, start in August. This last, it seems like a year ago, but it's only a couple months, and it also seems like 2 weeks ago. But Courtney's been fantastic so far. She comes from a utility background, so she's really apt at doing tree risk assessment and hazard assessment, and she is stepping into implementation of our tree code, and also has a lot of interest in expanding our outreach and other elements of our program. And so we're really excited to have her on the team. So these are just some highlights around the funding sources for our Tree City USA application. Oh, sorry. Yes, Councilor Beatty.
Can I just maybe missed it, but the tree inventory, did you say we inventoried public trees on the public property or public and private?
It's only on public trees right now. So it's street trees is the focus. So it's trees in the right of way adjacent to streets. We are developing a process in order to actually capture trees in other public lands that aren't on the street, for example, in parks or in right-of-way spaces that aren't street adjacent, to actually just kind of expand that inventory, that database of trees that we have. But for the inventory that Tree Ecology performed for us, it was just a transect in each neighborhood with about, 200 to 300 trees for each transect. And then they're also identifying spaces along streets that are open that we can plant, and then what size of tree could be planted in those areas. So it's going to kind of help us with our planting strategy for public trees.
Thank you.
Of course. And so, as you can see, throughout the last 5 years, our per capita spending has increased for our urban forest program. This is supported, I will say, by the community survey that was performed in 2019, I believe. We heard it in 2020. There was over 78% support for increased investment in our urban forest. Another caveat for these numbers increasing is that we're just better about logging what work that we're doing and capturing that staff time and resources. So some of those values that were spent or from 2016, 17, they may not accurately reflect the amount of investment the city was taking on for its urban forest, just because we didn't necessarily capture those asset data in work orders and such. But we are increasing our spending, which, like I mentioned, is supported by the community, but then also reflects in things like expanded programs for tree planting or horticulture or nursery, staff time, and other things that will support us in reaching our urban forest goals. And so over the last year, we had over 1,200 trees planted in the community, and that includes CIP projects as well as plantings on our public works campus. Our natural resource team, has been doing a fantastic job removing invasive species around our campus and replanting some of these very steep slopes, very dry slopes with some climate adapted trees. We also had partner planting, so that's North Clackamas Watershed Council, Johnson Creek Watersheds Council, Friends of Trees, but then also private developments and Arbor Day. So private developments are when we have a city approved development, we log those trees that are requirements of development, and then our Arbor Day tree giveaways as well. And so we're aiming for another Tree City USA Growth Award. And so essentially the qualifiers that we're using are our new public tree code, our canopy goals, which were adopted and really formalized in our comprehensive plan. We also kind of bolstered out that tree fund with our public tree code, and we're working on it as well for our private tree code. And then we have our new tree board members as well. And so the Tree City USA Growth Award really recognizes the higher levels of tree care from Tree City USA communities. So it's kind of like the upper echelons of tree friendly communities. So we're really excited to continue adding those stars to our plaque. And there's also a plaque, by the way, I don't know if folks ever see it. It's in our city hall right when you walk in the door. And so for 2021, there's a lot of exciting things that our tree board is working on, and we're really relying on them to help us out with these things. So the first is a tree removal moratorium. So we've talked to you about this before, but this is essentially a way to prevent an influx of tree removals ahead of private tree code. And so we're working with our tree board on that, particularly around the outreach requirements. Tree code. So this has been an ongoing process and project is the development of our private tree code. We're hoping to have a December adoption for this. But a big portion of the work right now that we're doing on tree code, besides reading and rereading those code documents to make sure that staff, as well as tree board members and community members understand it, is this bolstered community engagement project. So our comprehensive plan implementation process is what that tree code is enveloped in. We wanted to make sure it wasn't separate from the housing and the parking because, you know, this isn't something that we're one-off doing. This is part of this balanced approach that the city decided to take without balancing our housing goals as well as our urban canopy goals and our development goals. But so there's an engagement process through that comprehensive plan implementation process. But then there's also a separate engagement project that we're taking on that will include tree code, but then also really just kind of expand upon our urban forest program and offerings. That's with Enviro Issues. We're hoping to create templates, a new brand for our urban forest program, as well as things like, you know, presentations, things that we can create t-shirts with, banners, helpful infographics and materials, videos, things that really can help explain what work we're doing to the community and align kind of the work that we're doing as well. You know, a recommendation was really better engagement around invasive species management. So that's something that can happen under this kind of brand of urban forest programming. So we're hoping to have that work done ahead of the fall. Well, I guess it is the fall now, end of November, really. We're hoping to launch a lot of it on Arbor Day coming up. So stay tuned for that information. And our tree board is playing an active role in the development of that kind of brand and messaging as well. So tree plantings to date. So besides the over 1,200 plantings, we're already, you know, still getting trees in the ground, 147 tree plantings. We still have planned to do a few more. It looks like we have a number of value missing there, but related to some other CIP projects and campus build outs of our urban forest and getting some of the things from our nursery into the ground. We also have 845 partner plantings already. We're working on that Tree City USA application and growth award. Another exciting thing coming up is our leaf drop. So the first leaf drop date on November 6th is actually our Arbor Day celebration as well. So we're kind of having a big planting tree related event at our Public Works campus, which I'll talk about a little bit with the proclamation. But then also we're going to be doing a website update with all of this new content and outreach materials so that it's easy to find on our city website. So Arbor Day, so I'm really excited about this. So it's on November 6th. It's from, this is wrong, so it's from 8:30 to 12 p.m. You can show up at 8 a.m. if you want, we'll be there. It's just very early. But we're going to be doing a ceremonial tree planting. So we're actually planting a giant blue sequoia, which adds to kind of the dawn redwood kind of climate adapted species that we're really showcasing in our own little kind of arboretum at Public Works. We're doing a Fall Friends of Trees event. So that's on the same morning. So folks who are volunteering with Friends of Trees, folks who are receiving a tree, everyone will be starting staging at the Public Works campus, where we'll also be throwing the Arbor Day celebration. So folks are encouraged to grab a donut. And then we're doing some voodoo tree donuts again, as well as we're going to have an Ask an Arborist booth. So you can go ask either one of our tree board members who are an arborist or our own city forester. And then we're also going to be doing a tree giveaway. So we have over 120 trees to give away of a variety of different species, including we have some, you know, dogwoods, we have some giant sequoias, we have some oaks, and then we even have some flowering red currants for those folks who might not be able to fit a tree under maybe a power line or some other low-hanging thing. So plenty of options to help us expand our urban forest, and tree board members will be there, and we're really excited to kind of showcase some of the work that we're doing as a city with the community. And then in 2022, oh, go ahead, Lisa.
Can you explain how Friends of Trees is deciding where they're planting, and is there an ability for residents to apply or ask for a tree to be planted, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So folks can go onto Friends of Trees website and their calendar, events calendar, and then there should be a hyperlink for November 6th Milwaukee planting. I encourage folks to sign up quick because the spots can fill up. And how it works is that you sign up for a tree. It's $35 for, I think, 6-foot trees. So it's a really good deal. And the city subsidizes part of that cost. And then what you do is you can either volunteer to help plant your tree, or you can also volunteer just to help plant everyone's trees. And then your home gets added to kind of the neighborhood list of trees to get dropped off and planted by volunteers. I will say that if folks are for example, trying to replace and you can get a yard tree as well as a street tree. So there's 2 different locations. If folks are planting a tree in the right of way and intending on removing maybe an invasive tree or a dead or dying tree ahead of that, I do encourage folks to get in an application, a public tree removal application soon, because there is a 2-week notice period. So that is just one little caveat to make sure that folks check off that box if they're looking to remove an unhealthy tree in order to place a new one. But otherwise, it's really simple to get a tree from Friends of Trees. And I don't even think they're able to usually get to everyone. And so what happens is we're planning on doing many Friends of Trees events to come. And so you kind of get added to the next wave. And so 2022, we're really going to be rolling out that community engagement I was talking about, really hitting it hard in order for folks to kind of learn about our urban forest program. We're working on our tree permitting, both private permits, but then also we're trying to figure out a streamlined system that's really self-explanatory, that doesn't cause a lot of headache in order to submit an application for a potential tree removal. We're also hoping to expand our inventory from the pilot to actually inventorying all street trees in Milwaukee. That's going to be really important for us as we start to kind of manage these as green infrastructure. We're also looking to update our public works standards, and that's to reflect things such as climate adapted species, and then other kind of best management practices for tree care. And then another thing that we're looking to, and all of this, our tree board is going to be integral in, by the way, they're going to be, essential as we're talking to them about what does the community want us to see from our urban forest program. But another component that I know our tree board is really excited about is the heritage tree program. This is something that a lot of other communities have as a way to recognize some of our larger trees or more kind of culturally significant trees. There's going to be another Friends of Trees event this coming April. So if folks can't work out for this November 6th planting event, I encourage folks to sign up early for the April Friends of Trees event. And then, of course, we're already getting ready for our Arbor Day next year. We always hope for it to be bigger and better, and I'm hoping that by next year we can make it kind of a larger event with some other partners, so that way we don't have to worry about social distancing requirements, fingers crossed, and it can be a really big, fun event. And with that, I'll just say thank you. I want to recognize how much work our tree board has done and how important they are for both Peter and I, as well as all the other staff, to really kind of get a sense of what the community wants, but then also they are some of our strongest tree advocates in Milwaukee. And I know Peter and I are always encouraged and really inspired by some of the conversations that they have. And there's a lot of wisdom in that group. And I'm really appreciative of the work that they do for our community. If folks have any questions about trees, tree code, they're welcome to email me or Courtney, our urban forester. General questions about trees, I always recommend they go to urbanforest.milwaukeeoregon.gov. And then you can always go to our urban forest pages on the city website as well. So thanks, everyone.
Is there anybody from the tree board in the meeting? Is Catherine or anybody?
I didn't see, I think that a few folks had some conflicts, but I don't see anyone here.
Okay. There was a nuance in the tree code that they're working on that I wanted to have a conversation with them about. So when is their next meeting?
Tree board meets on the third Wednesday of every month. So let me see. So that'd be the 20th.
Okay. If you think about it, would you send me the Zoom link to that when you get an opportunity? Thanks. Anything else? Anybody else?
I guess I will just mention that I think the Wetlands Conservancy will be planting some trees in Minthorn. They planted some last winter, but they did their planting so late that the survival rate was not very good. So they're definitely planning to plant earlier this year. There's a work party this Saturday to remove invasives in preparation for probably a December planting. So if you want the numbers of trees they plant, I can try to get you that.
That would be great. Also add that an exciting project that our natural resource team is working on is restoration of Pennywood Detention Pond. So that's hopefully we'll get a lot of trees planted this year in that location as well.
And since you mentioned restoration, I'll say that unless I missed it, I don't think I even heard you talk about all of the restoration work that went into the follow-up to Elk Rock Island's fire, because a lot of that work continued well into the spring of this year and was performed by city staff. It was a collaboration between NCPRD and the city, but it was definitely something where our then urban arborists spent a lot of time and care, and it shows that it is recovering really well.
Yeah, that's definitely an area, a location in the city that our natural resource team takes pride in. Julian Lawrence, our urban forester at the time, put in a lot of time. I'll say Galen Hashofsky, who's our natural resource tech, he really went above and beyond and kind of punched above his role in order to kind of assist NCPRD in the Elk Rock Island work. And so I know that they cherish that island very, it's very close to their heart, and I know that they get a lot of pride from it. So
great to hear. Anything else, anybody? No? All right, well, you filled Peter's shoes admirably. Adley, thank you.
I just talk really fast, so it's
it's probably faster with you than Peter.
He has a lot of more good things to say. So I'm sure he'll follow up with you all independently.
Undoubtedly. All right. So we will see you later tonight, right, for a couple of things?
Yes, I will be back.
All right, cool. Thank you so much. Our next item is the winter events update with Dan Harris, our events and emergency management coordinator.
All righty. Well, good evening, Mayor Gamba, Council. Thank you all so much for having me back. Last time I was here, it was a hybrid meeting, and I think that this is already going better. So it's great to be here. Essentially, I'm here, and Jason Wax, Jason, your title, Community Program Coordinator? Community.
Informally, yeah, community engagement.
Engagement coordinator, goodness sake, pardon me. Well, like I was saying, it was going better than the hybrid. Jason Wax is here with me as well. And essentially what we're here for tonight is to sort of see where council is at with having winter events at all. I know that there is a strong desire built up for there to be events and for us to get back to something like the events that we've seen in the past. I know also that we're all cognizant of the risks of large events during the pandemic. And although we have seen over the last 5 weeks a sustained, although gradual, decrease in the number of COVID-19 cases around the state, we're definitely not out of the woods yet. So what we're thinking is that between COVID and the staffing that we have available, just where we're at, given the totality of things, is that we can really support one winter event this year. And before we even get to that, I'm sort of curious to see council's thoughts and whether we should be doing anything in person at all right now. We think that we can do it safely.
I'm not seeing anybody dying to jump in. Go ahead, Lisa.
I mean, I participated in one of the League of Oregon Cities calls about 10 days ago, and the Oregon Health Authority person there said that the vaccine for the 5 to 12-year-olds was expected to roll out in around Halloween and through November. And we know the booster shots for other people are rolling out. So I do feel like by December, we may be in a better place. I hate to make, a call entirely on this current status. I do get that. I guess that's what I would say. And I think I think one event is good. I mean, I think trying to bring both back is probably too much. I definitely see that, but
yeah, no, I absolutely, and I appreciate your point, Councillor Beatty. Any
Anne?
I just wanted to also add that the staff's been having a conversation with our DMBA, our Downtown Business Authority, and I just wanted to talk about some of their concerns to make sure that that's heightened in this. We're going to have to throttle back a bit if we do host this event, just to make sure that we don't have a crisis on our hands and that we're able to distance people appropriately. That means it's not going to be as lively as I think some of our downtown businesses would like it to be. We're still in a pandemic. We can't plan on not being in that pandemic by December. So there's some concern about whether or not we really should do the events at all if we're going to be throttling back a bit. And I just wanted to pass that along. We made a commitment to Rory that we would make sure that all of you had that information.
Yeah, and if I could kind of piggyback on that, thank you for bringing that up, because that is absolutely true. We have reached out to the DMBA, to Historic Milwaukee, to Lake Road as well, and Llewellyn, who of course have been traditionally tied up and involved so much in Solstice. We have, in terms of the NDAs directly, we've heard back only from Llewellyn, although we did have a good conversation with them last week. Essentially, what we're looking at really is doing the umbrella parade and the tree lighting as opposed to doing Solstice, and there are a few reasons for that. One of them is that just in terms of COVID safety, there are some things that are built into the umbrella parade and tree lighting that really aren't built into Solstice. So, for example, the distancing is just a little bit more inherent with the parade. There's not as much gathering around, unmasked, drinking and eating, the way that Solstice is. And at the point where we would be potentially looking at removing food and drinks from Solstice to encourage masking, that really takes a lot of the life and energy out of that event. Whereas we think that we can more effectively adapt the umbrella parade and tree lighting. And I will say that the folks who we've heard from are partners at the beer store who we've worked with so closely on Solstice in the past, Llewellyn NDA. The feedback from there is great, fantastic. That makes a whole lot of sense. To Rory's concerns and to the DMBA's concerns, I think, yeah, we absolutely do need to be COVID conscious, and we're making an effort to do that. And also, I think that there are ways that we can make this still good for the businesses downtown, and that we can still make this beneficial to the community. I think a lot of that has to do with how creative we can get. So I know that in the past, for example, there has been an effort through Celebrate Milwaukee, Inc. to get to do like a decorating contest and to get people around to see the businesses. What I'd really like to work on this year, assuming that we do move forward with the umbrella parade and tree lighting, is setting up some kind of a map that we're able to share so that folks will be encouraged to go around and see the different window displays, the different decorations at different businesses downtown. That's an idea. We can find others, but I do think that there's a way to do this that is both COVID conscious and good for the businesses who have been, I mean, just so burdened throughout the course of this pandemic. Not to dismiss his concerns at all. I think they're really valid, but to acknowledge them and to say, yes, absolutely, and let's find a smart, safe way to do this.
Kathy, go ahead.
I am glad to hear that food and drink is probably off the table, because that's where I was getting concerned. You know, I was at the Carefree Sunday event in downtown, and there were a lot of people. I mean, we always have a good crowd when the weather's nice downtown for the farmers market, but people, there were lots of people who were over at City Hall, and I was really grateful, because what I saw was the community pretty universally being respectful and wearing masks and trying to stay distant from one another. And I feel like if we can keep that up, keep things outside, we have folks who are receptive to that understand that we need to be careful. And we have people who want to spend time together, and we have traditions in this community that mean a lot. So I think the umbrella parade makes a lot of sense. I agree with you that if you have to pick one, that's the one that is less affected by losing food and drink. And I agree that that is really necessary to ensure that we are being as safe as we possibly can, while still giving folks some opportunity to have some seasonal celebration together.
Absolutely, and thank you very much for that. I do think that the community knows what to do here in terms of masking, in terms of distancing, and I think that if we give them an opportunity to have this event, and if we give them an opportunity to do this safely, that by and large people will take advantage of that opportunity and will behave responsibly. It's a transition. Jason framed it the other day as a kind of a transition back to more of our in-person events. And I think that's a really good way to think about it. I can't wait to get out to Solstice. I'm so excited for us to have a Solstice event. And I hope that we're able to do that next year. It certainly seems like that's the direction we're headed. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, knock on any wood available. And that's not where we're at right this second. And it doesn't appear to be where we're going to be going into December. So being that things could still go the other way, that there could be some new variant, that who knows what could change between now and December, that we could still end up having to cancel events because of COVID concerns. It really, the part of it too is that we don't want to see vendors and the NDAs buying supplies, buying food, getting licenses, setting up contracts for these events, if ultimately we end up having to cancel Solstice after we've gotten the ball rolling on it. The other thing too is there is a bit of an equity issue around between these two events. The umbrella parade, the tree lighting have historically and by design been free events. They're explicitly not commercialized. Not that we don't encourage folks to go down and patronize our businesses. By all means, there are a lot of great things to spend money on downtown. But if somebody wants to come down with their family for the afternoon and have a fun kickoff to winter into the holiday season for free, that's available.
I would like to know if we can guarantee that Jason will somehow have a foible when it comes to the lighting ceremony if we continue. This is a key element.
We can do that. We're really good at it now. So
okay, good.
Yeah, either half the tree will light or it'll just light too late. I think those are the last two.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't done yet, Jason, is we throw the switch and the tree falls over. We haven't done that.
Oh, well, there you go.
That kind of goes against our tree goal.
Ooh, great point.
I object to that.
Oh, I did want to add one other thing too, in terms of like when we decided to, when we were trying to choose, the solstice event goes on whether or not we do something down there as well. So people can still go enjoy the ships, and we can we can still let people know about that and encourage people to go down there all the different days that they come through. And maybe there's even a way to put up some additional lighting down there or something like that to make it a little more festive one of the nights or something like that, without us actually having an event. So I think there's ways that we can do that as well.
Well, it's also the event that has drawn thousands of people versus the umbrella parade, which is well attended, but feels like it is less of a regional draw and more Milwaukee specific, and is a smaller crowd. So I think that's also a really important factor.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys have thought this through. Is Rory in the meeting? Is Rory watching? Anybody know?
No, that's why I was making the comment. He wasn't able to attend.
I was just curious what their concern was, that if we weren't doing a really, really big one, they didn't want it to happen. Still would love to know sort of his thinking around that. But I like where the team is headed with just doing the umbrella parade. Anybody else?
Sounds like we're good.
All righty.
All right, 6-foot umbrellas, Dan. That way, there's natural distancing.
Absolutely. I think that's it's going to be hard to enforce it, but again, people get the idea. 6-foot umbrellas or bust. All right. I think that's absolutely everything that I have.
All right, excellent.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
So after the work session, council will meet in executive session pursuant to Oregon Revised Statute ORS 192.6602E to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. With that, I believe we are adjourned from the work session, and we all go back on a different Zoom channel to do the aforementioned executive session. So I will see you all there.